As an entertainment package, our new V8 touring car formula is already a box office success. Amaru's first round horsepower hostilities between Henry and the General had all the overtones of a bare-knuckle barroom brawl. At the end of play, Holden emerged with pole and the dash, Ford with the points and also the cash.
The way we've been handicapped to suit the V8s, it's no point us race.
BMW's four-car championship team has since won a 50-kilo concession from the CAMS Weight Watchers, guaranteeing there could be a glimmer of a bimmer at the Apple Isle this weekend. On the Shell leaderboard, Tassie favourite John Bauer holds a 2-point advantage over Mark Scaife. Glenn Seaton is third, Jim Richards fourth, with Wayne Gardner and Dick Johnson equal fifth. Today, the 7 Network welcomes you to Symmons Plains near Launceston for another 2-hour feast of handlebars and touring cars. It's round 2 of the Shell Australian Championship Series, proudly brought to you by Shell. Hello Australia, I'm Mike Raymond. Welcome to beautiful Symmons Plains in Tasmania and round 2 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. And what a firecracker it promises to be here this afternoon, Alan Moffat.
Absolutely, and fantastic weather, Mike. 24 degrees, not a hint of rain. Everybody's on the right tyres there. They'll be happy with the situation.
And what about the crowd here today? Fabulous.
Well, they have the benefit of both Launceston and Hobart to draw from, and look at that. It's just superb and a great little circuit, a safe circuit, and one where you can get your foot down and open up on that back straight. Plenty of braking problems at the hairpin. Brakes are going to be as big a factor in this race as tyres.
Well, yesterday, of course, we saw a couple of incidents in qualifying and in practice. Now, Larry Perkins was the fastest in the unofficial practice session yesterday morning, but Larry, unfortunately, was into a case of flat spotting the tyres.
Well, he can't do that too many times, nor can anybody, but on this particular occasion, I think if you were going to have a problem, this was a fairly safe place to do it, if you can call this safe. Look at that.
Upside down. There was some concern shown because the speed at which Larry went off, but nothing against...
Tank commander coming out of there.
So Rommel stepped from the Castrol Commodore. He was okay. Yesterday did provide a bonus, though, for Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson number 30 EB Falcon, leading a 1-2 Ford Blitz to the front row. And, of course, on Sunday morning, the draw of the dash changes everything. Yesterday, of course, Seaton on pole, 55.80, just ahead of his teammate Alan Jones. Third, Thomas Mazira, the first of the Holden Commodores, followed by Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore VP. Then Dick Johnson in the Shell Falcon EB. And Wayne Gardner making the top 6, an outstanding performance. The draw for the Peter Jackson dash brought no joy for Alan Jones, but certainly for Glenn Seaton. Mark Osler.
Glenn Seaton. I should have got 2. Glenn Seaton, there's no doubt about you. You can't do anything wrong this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully. I think it should be a great race today. It'll be a real hard tussle with Thomas and also Alan, my teammate. And I'm really looking forward to the dash now because I was a bit worried about going from first to probably 6th, but I'm really happy now.
Thank you, Mark Osler. And now we have the grid behind the pace car. Let's take a look the way they'll line up. The top 6 after the Peter Jackson draw this morning. Glenn Seaton pole yesterday and has turned up card number 1. Mark Scaife starts on the outside of the front row. Alan Jones from position number 3. Wayne Gardner from 4. He's the big mover in the draw. Dick Johnson from 5 and Thomas Mazira, who was third fastest in qualifying, has gone to 6. And if this new formula hasn't got a few fans, don't you believe it? A packed house here at Symmons Plains Raceway this morning. The Peter Jackson dash to get round 2 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship underway. Glenn Seaton on pole, and here they come. Across the line, down to the left-hander at the Brambles Shipping hairpin, and Glenn Seaton has been shuffled out here, and Wayne Gardner on the outside, making a move here on Mark Scaife. Scaife will have the lie to the turn. Oh, he spun it! He's dumped it right in front of Glenn Seaton and Wayne Gardner, straight around the outside.
Wayne Gardner, fantastic start. Boy, this guy's in a big hurry in Australian touring car racing in 1993. They said he wouldn't be on the pace till mid-season, but already he's in the top 6. He's leading the top 6. First position in the Peter Jackson dash for cash. A sensational start from the 1987 World 500cc champ.
I don't know how he pulled that move, but certainly Scaife will put that on his dashboard, a notch to remember.
Well, that's thrown a few of them back in the pack. But at the moment, as we take Dunlop Racecam riding with Dick Johnson, he's got the best rear gunner's view of the race. He's sitting in behind Alan Jones. They come through this turn once again to reel off the first lap. Wayne Gardner, the race leader. Mark Scaife second in the Winfield Holden, and right behind him, we've got the pole sitter, and that, of course, is Glenn Seaton coming up on the outside. But not all that interested, just to make sure he doesn't drop the model in front of him again. Now, watch the speed of the Ford against the Commodore as they exit that turn from Bramble's hairpin and now make their way down the back straight to the sweeper.
Seems to be incredibly close times in qualifying. Falcons and Holdens very evenly matched, particularly the Peter Jackson cars and the Holden Racing Team Commodores. Alan Jones running in third position here. He wouldn't be happy with that. He lost his second position, which he was most proud of after qualifying yesterday. And there's a Winfield car blocking him from that spot, so Jones will get pretty aggressive as they come into the final lap.
Lots of black smoke coming out of Gardner's car, out of his exhaust pipes. They're running a rich combination, throwing plenty of petrol through the engine, so obviously they've got some power there that they've been playing around with overnight.
Okay, Alan Jones now working on the tail of Mark Scaife as they come up to Bramble's hairpin once again. Wayne Gardner, 6th fastest yesterday. He was delighted with that. He's pulled the card this morning. That has taken him from 6 to 3, and he's been able to capitalise on a mistake from Mark Scaife in the first turn. So Gardner scoots away from them as they come down the back straight now for the final time.
No shortage of power from the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Gardner sprinting away to the back straight, at least 100 metres on the rest of this 5. But the rest of the Holdens and Commodores fairly evenly matched in straight line speed, so we should be in for quite a stoush this afternoon. But this man's just got it all over them. Wayne Gardner stepped into Australian touring car racing, and he's taken to it like a duck to water.
He certainly has. He comes down to the pit turn, left, get ready to hang the tail out, and here he comes, his first touring car win. It's Wayne Gardner, the Peter Jackson Dash at Symmons Plains this morning. Second place going to Mark Scaife in the Winfield Holden, and third place to Alan Jones. Let's go down to Mark Osler with Wayne Gardner.
Wayne Gardner, your first touring car win, a fabulous start from the second row. You're showing plenty of aggression, and you're supposed to be learning this formula.
I wondered how long it'd take to win. I thought maybe the end of the season, but it's come pretty early. And but you know, a lot of the credit goes to the team. The car's very, very strong. It out-dragged everybody to the first corner, and then I just tried to keep it nice and tidy. I see they were fighting amongst themselves, and I just got clear of it. So I was pretty happy with that. But as I said, all the credit goes to the car. It's really fast, and the Bridgestone tyres are working really good, and the team's an exceptionally good team. So hopefully it's a good start to the season.
A delighted Wayne Gardner there with Mark Osler, and why not? He will be a leading contender when we get through to the 2 by 25-minute races a little later on the program. Right now, the Shell Superbikes return to Symmons Plains. Cars on the racetrack warming up the tyres. Let's take a look how the grid is for heat number 1 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Wayne Gardner, through winning the Peter Jackson Dash, has pole. Mark Scaife, who finished second, starts position 2. Alan Jones starts out of position 3, and Thomas Mazera out of 4. Fifth is Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Falcon. Then, of course, from position number 6, it's Dickie Johnson in the Shell Falcon EB. From 7-2, Jimmy Richards, the Winfield Commodore. And from 8-7, Neil Crompton in the GIO Australia Commodore. From 9 at 0-5, Peter Brock, the Mobil 1 Commodore. And from 10-11, Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore. From 11, it's 18, John Bowd, the second of the Shell Falcons. From position 12, keep an eye on this guy today, 25, Tony Longhurst, the Benson and Hedges BMW. Followed by Paul Morris in the Diet Coke BMW. And Stuart McCall in the Holden Commodore out of position number 14. 15th is Bobby Jones in the Ampol Max 3 Commodore. From 16.24, it's Jeff Full in the second of the Diet Coke BMWs. From 17.20, John Blanchard, the second of the B&H BMWs. From 18.53, our 2-litre series leader, Peter Dillman. Johnny Smith in the Caltex Corolla starts out at 19. And Colin Bond in the unsorted Caltex Toyota Corolla starts position number 20. A pensive Alan Jones. We're only 10 seconds away from the start of heat number 1 of round 2, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Wayne Gardner, can he make a blistering start? He's got Mark Scaife alongside. Time to get the pedal to the metal, and Gardner gets off sideways in company with Scaife, who immediately moves across, and Gardner says, okay, down the outside. It worked last time. Let's see if it'll work this time. Down on the inside, Mark Scaife, and very, very brave under brakes is Wayne Gardner. He'll dab here. Alan Jones gets up on the inside. He's running in third. Thomas Mazera is fourth, and on the inside of him, John Bowd. Dick Johnson further back in the pack. As we look now from the sweeper, and sitting there in the draft is Wayne Gardner as they come down the back straight for the first time. There's the race. Mark Scaife, the Winfield Commodore, right behind him, Wayne Gardner. Then Alan Jones, followed by Thomas Mazera. Nothing in this one.
Nice clean start. Almost an equal start from Scaife and Gardner. Scaife took it into the inside line and has held that position. We thought with the speed that Gardner showed in the Peter Jackson Dash this morning, he was going to walk this opening race, but no, Scaife seems to have him under control at the moment.
There'll be a lot of drafting in this first couple of laps down the back straight, and here they go beneath our speed camera. That's the exit as they go down that long straight into the Brambles hairpin. It's still Scaife, Wayne Gardner and Alan Jones. Two Commodores, then the first of the Falcons.
Everybody showing a degree of decorum here. I think they're really thinking about the two heats today, Michael. 25 laps, 25 minutes, about 28 laps each. No one did anything stupid on the opening laps, and if there was going to be a problem a la the biffing we saw at Emerue, it would have taken place on that very opening hairpin. But here we've got Skays holding off Gardner. Only just, I might add.
Yep, there's not too much in it. Now Gardner will sit in here for a while and just work the lines out of what protection Mark Scaife is giving as they boom out of this corner. And now that long shot down the straightaway here to the left-hander at Brambles hairpin.
They've got to be careful here. They can't afford to lock up brakes. We saw what happened to Larry Perkins yesterday with a brake lock up, go down to the canvas, blow your tire, and land up in the Symmons Plains outfield.
Talking about that, Peter Brock, he's had a little tap from behind by the look of it.
There she goes.
It's out of harm's way. A touch of Bridgestone, a little bit of blue, red and white. So the mobile rear bumper.
I think we've gone through about 10 bumper bars so far in 2 races, Mike. Definitely not items of quick repair, that's for sure.
And very expensive as well. There's the gap going through Alan Jones. Next is Thomas Mazera. Then Glenn Seaton, the pole man yesterday in the second of the Peter Jackson cars. John Bowers next, and then it's Neil Crompton in the GIO Australia Commodore. They reel off one more in heat number 1 here today.
Well, and this is nicely bunched at the moment, Michael. Nobody's got away from anybody. A little bit of slipstreaming going on, and they're able to just stay nicely in touch, which makes for great racing. I don't think the 2 Peter Jackson drivers at the moment are concerned at all about their position. They can capitalize there if they need to. Dick Johnson a little further behind than he probably would like to be, but nevertheless in a good position.
Once again, the Commodores and the Falcons very evenly matched in qualifying here. All through Friday and Saturday, we had a tremendous contest. And once again, the cars very evenly matched. 11 cars covered by 1 second at the end of qualifying yesterday. Of course, the Peter Jackson Dash for Cash mixes things up, but this is the business end of the weekend.
Well, Scaife doing this comfortably, actually opening up just a little buffer over Wayne Gardner. Most people believe that the HRT Commodore had a bit of little more horsepower than the engine powering Scaife's car, but at the moment he's fallen back into the clutches of Alan Jones in the Peter Jackson Falcon EB. Thomas Mazera not too far behind that group, and as you can see then Glenn Seaton sitting not too far in arrears to Mazera. Next is Dick Johnson going through, or John Bauer I should say. Well, it's Johnson in fact that's ahead, so he certainly improved. Bauer sitting there just in front of Larry Perkins, who in the opener we pointed out was fastest in the unofficial practice here yesterday morning before flat spotting a tyre and dumping the car upside down.
The Shell cars have really been lacking in horsepower here. Look at Larry Perkins. There's a sweep down the inside of the Castrol Commodore. Old Faithful. This car's been around for a long time. I think Larry estimated it's done over 10,000 kilometres of racing miles. That's not including testing miles, so she's a pretty old nail.
$1 a lap should be well and truly paid for. And doing nicely.
He certainly... Oh, there's some damage to John Bowers, in front of the John Bowers car again. Similar damage to we saw at Amaroo Park, certainly on Dick's car.
I dare say that was that's the other side of the Brock incident, perhaps.
Could well be.
Absolutely. Well, they're pacing themselves nicely. These fellows are all thinking with their heads there today. They know they've got another long race in front of them this afternoon, and nobody's being terribly stupid here. Looking after their tires, they must use the same set of tires again in the second heat. Great pictures here from GIO race cam.
Looking at the back of Neil Crompton's Commodore VP, Peter Brock taps into the draft minus the rear bodywork once again.
Comes down the inside there as we take the GIO race cam. Beautiful pictures out of the back of the car. Brock looking to the inside.
Crompton hard on at the back straight, 7,500 revs. He's still using the old Holden V8, the Chev engine of the Fred Gibson Mobile, soon to come on stream. Crompton's still struggling. This car's pretty heavy, I believe. Weighed in about 1,386 kilos on the weekend, so he's still got some weight to trim out of the car.
That is a lot, Marcus.
It is.
With a 1,300 kilo limit, certainly the boys will want to get out with their files over the next couple of weeks and get that down.
Certainly Neils on Wheels done a good job this weekend. He qualified 7th, just out of the top 6. So Bob Forbes and the JO team making great progress, and I'm sure when the Fred customer car comes on stream, probably by Phillip Island or Lakeside, we'll see even greater improvement from Neil.
Good.
He's making a run at John Bow. In the meantime, there's the traffic, as you can see, and Tony Longhurst getting a little bit closer to the tail of Larry Perkins as we see Mark Scaife, and there you can see going down on the inside. That was maybe the Colin Bond car, is it, in the spot of bother?
Alan Jones, meanwhile, has cleaned up Wayne Gardner there while we were following the battle further back in the pack. And Glenn Seaton, his teammate, moves up, so it's very close. Jones is on a big charge here.
I'll tell you what, AJ won't take up with too much of this running left to right across your screen.
Well, he said after the dash that he was very confident in the pace of the Falcon down the back straight. I know Glenn commented in qualifying that he thought the Falcon, because it's got so much downforce, it probably had a bit more drag than the Commodores. But Jonesy was very confident in the amount of power Bo Seaton's getting from these Ford V8s.
He's also very determined to
Look
want
at
to
this.
win.
Look.
Oh, Gardner gets 2 wheels out on the grass, but he manages to gather it up.
He was good at motocross too, wasn't he, before he went
You
to the
can do
final?
that on a motorbike when they're a little skinnier, but these cars do require a certain amount of room.
That'll give you an idea of the gap between V8 5 litres and 2 litre cars. They're all in amongst there. Peter Dillman, I notice, and Johnny Smith trying to stay out of their way. There's Peter Dillman going through the Impala Kitchens entry, and he's got another batch of them coming at him as well.
So V8's charge on. Alan Jones, he's just filling up the mirrors of Mark Scaife's Winfield Commodore VP here.
You give this a good working over.
Jonesy would love a win. He's participated in many Australian Touring Car Championship races and not had a victory from my memory.
Just had 2 litre cars just being lapped there. That's 7 laps after the start to give you some idea of how quickly the V8s are rounded up the 2 litre cars. Oh, Alan Jones gives more a little tap.
Get out of the way! Get out of the way!
That was a savage one. That was Parnelli Jones type driving. 1 tap, and if you're not out of my way, you just get another one.
I don't think there was too much backing off in the Peter Jackson car. Now they're 3 wide as they come through the sweeper. 250 kilometres an hour. Wayne Gardner ducks down the inside of Alan Jones, and Thomas Mazera joins the battle up. So there's 3 of them locking brakes. This is incredible.
Alan Jones and Wayne Gardner.
Yes, he's not.
Oh, and there
Jones,
goes Gardner.
he's given Gardner a tap as well.
Well, I don't disagree with that one. I think Gardner was absolutely cheeky there, and Jones was showing style of what won his World Championship for him. Real aggressive driving.
And I think he's.
If you want this track, take it from me. Is what
anyone
he's saying.
anyone who's raced against Alan Jones said he's a very tough customer, and he certainly showed it there within about half a kilometre of each other. So Wayne Gardner stuck off in the rough.
No, he'll be unhappy. Definitely unhappy about that, but I don't think I'd give any demerit marks to Jones on that one. I think he was a little harsh on Scaife, but certainly that was just door handle to door handle stuff, and good on him for sticking to his guns.
Now here comes Glenn Seaton. Seaton says, well, hang on, yesterday we had 1 and 2 on the front row. We can just get by Thomas Mazera, and that's going to be a job in itself, because Thomas is absolutely on the limit in terms of car control. He will always just fight as far as he can, and as long as he can. He won't put anyone under any pressure.
So it's Ford, Holden, Ford. Mark Scaife, meanwhile, heads back into the pit lane. New tyres and I guess a new front spoiler, and he'll be steaming.
Well, there's a lot in this points battle. Keep in mind, as they went into this first championship race, given that there are 3 points for qualifying yesterday, and it pays 3 points to win the Peter Jackson Dash this morning, the point score going into this race, 3 drivers level on the Shell leaderboard. John Bow on 23, Mark Scaife and Glenn Seaton all on 23 points.
Well, here's Seaton shadowing Mazera, getting a nice tow, although he's not taking enormous advantage of it. He's got to be a little bit closer than that to capitalize on true slipstreaming. But certainly Mazera not getting away from him. I thought the brakes on the Falcon over the weekend have shown to be superior to what Holden have. Just marginal, but that's what you want around a circuit like this, just marginal increments.
And as all the drivers said yesterday, this is really going to be a tyre battle, keeping in mind 2 26-lap races. and it gives the right rear tyre hell on these V8s. They really load them up, and they've got to be thinking ahead to get maximum tyre life out of these tyres over 2 long heats. Good consistent run from Dick Johnson. The Shell team are certainly down on engine development compared to the Peter Jackson cars, and they certainly admit that. About 40 horsepower according to Dick Johnson, so the Shell team have got a lot of work to do on the engines, but meanwhile their suspension package is excellent. This is the way they'll line up. Alan Jones leading them, Thomas Mazera in second, Glenn Seaton pulls up to third, Dick Johnson again in fourth position, and Peter Brock rounds out the 5. We'll be back in just a moment.
For the Shell Australian Championship, all the events carrying points, whether they be heats or integrated races that we're having today, 2 by 25-minute events. At the moment, AJ leads from Thomas Mazera. Glenn Seaton is next, followed by Johnson. Brock is next, followed by Larry Perkins, Crompton, and Tony Longhurst. You'll notice just starting to come in behind Crompton. So maybe 50 kilos has made a little bit of difference.
I think it would have made, I think 10 kilos would have made a big difference. His strategy to finish well, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, just to be able to start the second heat in the order that they finish this heat, will give Tony Longhurst his biggest opportunity over the weekend. But up the front, it's a Ford Sandwich, and I'm afraid it's Thomas Mazera as the filling at the moment. Alan Jones and Glenn Seaton.
These two guys did identical lap times on Saturday morning before they came out for official qualifying. Certainly be having a great scrap through Friday and Saturday, very evenly matched. Holden Racing Team Commodore, the Peter Jackson Falcons.
Here's the section of the track where it's hard on that right rear, going through that left-hander in front of the pits, throwing the car through another right-hander, and then having to be nice and tidy down for the hairpin here at Brambles. Down to first gear, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 speeds in each of one of these cars today.
Glenn there just working a little to the inside, but I guess it is fairly important to try and stay in the draft down here because the cars are so evenly matched. Once again through Coca-Cola corner, Alan Jones still leading, Mazera in second, Glenn Seaton is third.
I think Mazera is definitely holding Glenn up a little bit at the moment. He's getting a little bit pushy here, trying to let him know he's around. And Glenn realizing that he can see his teammate disappearing and feels that he should be much closer to him. But Mazera is not doing anything illegal. He's driving in what one would call a sporting fashion.
Well, here comes Glenn in a sporting fashion right up behind him. They're absolutely dead even as they make the exit to Brambles shipping hairpin. And I tell you what, Thomas does get out of that turn very, very quickly and opens up a little bit of a gap until I get down to the sweeper. Now, from this point on, you'll notice that Glenn gets all over the back of the car.
I do think the Falcons are pulling up better under brakes, again, and certainly in the closing laps of the second heat. If that prediction is correct, it's going to help the Ford drivers a lot.
Well, they're not mucking around. Dick Johnson trying to pull in Glenn Seaton in car number 30. Dick's back one spot, followed by Peter Brock. Then, of course, it's Larry Perkins, Neil Crompton and Tony Longhurst. That's the order.
Well, of course, the Holden Racing Team cars are the only ones running this twin caliper setup on the front discs.
Yes, that's a nice innovation, Mark, but can be tricky getting it perfected. And
here's Peter Dillman, leader of the 2-litre point standings at the moment. He's got Johnny Smith, I think, is just in front of him, and here come the V8s. They both move. That's the speed difference. And Colin Bondall also out there in the new Corolla, but not doing anything here today. He's had some problems with that, trying to sort it out. So Peter Dillman, the Impala Kitchens, the Clark entry. Beautifully turned out car. He's doing his best to support the 2-litre class.
He's doing very well.
Here's Smithy. Oh, little tap from Dick Johnson to Smithy, I think it was, as he went through, just to let him know you weren't over further enough.
Dorman sneaks through to the lead. So Smithy gets pushed back. And Dorman now leads the 2-litre race. Very important race for the 2 litres this race too, because it carries points. Of course, not enough 2-litre cars here this weekend to justify their own race.
Sort of a harrowing moment there for the leaders when they came up on those two, and the guys actually were doing their best to get out of the way. in Smithy's case.
Well, there's very little Glenn Seaton can do here. This car's very evenly matched under braking. Obviously, Thomas has tremendous straight line speed. Glenn makes it up under brakes, but the status quo remains lap after lap.
Yep. And only feature as part of the regulations, which could be coming into play, although I think it's a little bit early yet. The regulations state that the gearboxes are free and everybody is using the Hollinger 6-speed gearbox. But the two different teams the two different camps could be using different ratios, which could just give that Holden a slightly better rate of acceleration in, say, second, third, and fourth gears. And we might be seeing a bit of that here, giving the Holdens a good run for their money.
Okay, let's take our Mobile 1 race cam as we ride with Peter Brock. Watch the level of concentration as only Brocky can deliver.
Straight through, snap gears, no synchros in these gearboxes. They just go click, click. Sounds as if Peter's not using the clutch, but that's the way this gearbox is designed. Very, very durable. I don't think you'll see a car stop in the whole series because of a gearbox failure. It's a true credit to Peter Hollinger, Melbourne engineer, who has developed this box over a number of years and is selling them around the world.
Peter Brock, we're carrying with our Mobile 1 race cam, running 5th at the moment and closing on the Falcon. Time for our Dunlop race cam now. And here's our cockpit shot of Dickie Johnson, car number 17. Dick doesn't appear to be as intense behind the wheel as you've noticed with Peter
Don't judge
Brock.
a book by its cover, please, Michael. He's working. He's thinking about what he's doing. Started wearing sunglasses when he went over to America. I think he thought that was the Richard Petty style, so it was good enough for him. But he's got a dark road in front of him with those glasses on.
Well, there's the gap he's trying to close. At the moment, though, looking back through the field, Jimmy Richards, who one usually expects to be running up with the front cars, is back in 11th spot.
Yeah,
Scaife has rejoined and back to 16th.
Yeah, Jim had a pit stop much earlier in the race in the opening laps. He slipped back to 19th place, so he's picking his way back through the field.
Nice quick changes there from Dick. He's paying attention to what he's doing, but if he's down on power, he's hurting.
So 7 laps to go as they come across the start-finish line. Position remains the same. Alan Jones first, Thomas Maziera, the HRT Commodore, in second, Glenn Seaton in third. Here's Dick Johnson about 100 metres further back in fourth, and Peter Brock still holding 5th position in the 05 Mobile Commodore.
Well, Alan Jones will love this, and there are a lot of people around Australia loving it for him.
Oh, yes,
great competitor.
He's always been a great driver, and I felt always running 2 IC to other teams, particularly Colin Bond, originally with the Alpha team, and then, of course, with Tony Longhurst in the Frank Gardner BMW team. And he pulled the pin on that last season because I think he believed he wasn't getting the same car that Tony was running, and sat round for all of 24 hours when Glenn Seaton's team approached him and asked him whether he would like to join them at Bathurst and for the next couple of years, and he said, yep, do it.
And they are a happy team. They work together. Glenn's always very complimentary about Alan's qualifying times and his contribution to setting up the car, and that's nice to have it. There's nothing worse than warfare going on between your two drivers, each trying to make points on one another. But I think the Peter Jackson team can be proud of their position here today, as they should have been even at Amaru, and looking good here for the second heat already.
Well, Alan certainly made some changes to the car. He wasn't entirely happy with it Amaru. He thought the car had some sort of a braking imbalance, and they fiddled around with the brake cylinders and got the car just the way he likes it down at Symmons Plains this weekend. He's very, very happy with the team, as Alan said, and we're seeing the true abilities of this former Formula One world champ.
And the aggressor as well.
Yeah, no lack of aggression from Jonesy.
Well, I have a feeling that he'll be talking to the stewards at half-time. The incident with Mark Scaife, I'm sure, will have been brought to their attention by now. And whether Gardner has something to say to him personally as well, I think he might be a bit busy at half-time.
Tell you what, it'd be a bit of a godsend for Gardner, because the last time he went off like that, I think it was at Suzuka. And when you slide off in one of these and you bolt it in, it's a far more comfortable ride, and certainly to finish that way. Gardner likes a bit of hard competition. He'll get a kick out of that. Tony Longhurst, the Benson and Hedges BMW car number 25.
The These cars only good for this year. They claim not to race them after this season, and will come on strong with their new E36, as BMW people refer to them. New shape.
And this is the way it looks from the front spoiler of Tony Longhurst. BMW M3. You're only a couple of inches above the road surface.
Centimetres even.
Yes.
But it is a good view, and it'll give an opportunity, maybe, Alan, for you to drive us round the racetrack.
Oh, fine. Now here we come onto the back of the pits, down through the gears, second gear at least. Sharp left-hander here. Got to just get the inside, let the car float out to the right, exactly like Tony's doing now. Right-hander here past the start-finish line, just missed the Armco on the left, up through the gearbox. You can hear the lovely little engine roaring away there. I don't believe this team has had an engine failure since they have campaigned these cars over 3 seasons. Just tremendous credit to the BMW engineering and the preparation of the cars. Up onto the back straight through the hairpin, obviously in first gear. Wham, 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 up to 6th again. And here he comes. Look at the stability of this car. Hardly a ripple in it. He's whipping along here 100 and... Oh, come on, Mark, save me.
250 kilometres an hour they were clocked yesterday.
Well, you were using miles an hour, probably
Well,
computed about the same as Larry finds himself under a little pressure from Tasmanian John Bauer in the number 18 Shell EB Falcon. John has climbed all over Larry the last couple of laps.
See those two or three dimples above the windscreen of the Castrol Commodore. Memories of yesterday's wild ride. But they've vacuumed out the old girl, got about 3 or 4 truckloads of dirt out of it. And Larry's back in the race. He was very quick here on Saturday morning. I think he was the fastest, in fact, in the untimed session, second session on Saturday morning. So the VL, even though it's the older model,
Still got life in it.
hang on, we've got big problems here. Just as we say that, smoke just started to billow from the back of Larry's car. It's pouring from the back wheel. Would you make a...
I wouldn't want to guess at that one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to guess at that one. Certainly wasn't a tire rubbing. John didn't touch him.
Just
he's got an onboard failure there somewhere. Systems failure in the oil division.
2 laps to go.
Well, it's unusual. It's almost cleared itself up now. It just came out with a bucket load when he came out of the hairpin.
Might be a breather of some function just with an overload, although under brakes is the problem.
Well, John Bowe will be aware of that.
He'll be getting sprayed with it, whatever it is.
So he'll be in a big hurry to get past now.
Gee whiz, it's almost as if something's broken loose on the axle mountings and allowing the rear axle to move around on the body. It's a little wiggle at the back of the car there. I don't think Larry's car is as stable as he'd want it to be. Maybe a rose joint is broken somewhere and it's allowed that axle to flop around a little bit. That'd be my guess, Mark.
6th, 7th and 8th. That's what we're watching at the moment. Tony Longhurst in the 8th spot. These 2 guys get away from him down the straight. AJ in the meantime. Oh, won't this be a feeling for him? Great bloke. Fabulous racer. Anyone that's won the Formula 1 World Championship is a cut above the class. Jonesy is just that, and he'd be enjoying every moment of this. 1 lap to go. He's been waiting for a long time to come up with a win in the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship round.
Well, we'll find out at lunchtime how many races he has competed in before taking this victory here today, but I'm sure this is only the beginning of many to come.
Out of the turn. Final lap. Thomas Mazera has done a fabulous job running in second. Glenn Seaton unable to run with Mazera. Jones at this stage certainly has the pick of it in terms of horsepower. Really howling down through the sweeper.
Car looks good, nice and stable. Nice rake, Daytona rake as it's referred to, the slope towards the front. Just nice.
There's Thomas Mazera, runs in second. Third, of course, is Glenn Seaton. Next, of course, is Dick Johnson. Tony Longhurst coming up, and checkered flag time for AJ. He finally puts one together, comes across the line and takes the checkered flag. The winner of the opening race of round 2, the Shell Australian Championship over Thomas Mazera, and of course Glenn Seaton back in third.
Yeah, great result from Alan Jones. Very impressive run. Takes the cheers of the crowd. Great run from the Formula Champ. Let's have a look how they finished. Alan Jones, of course, first. Thomas Mazera in second. Glenn Seaton held on to third. Dick Johnson grabbed fourth. And Peter Brock managed to hang on to fifth.
and welcome back to Symmons Plains International Raceway. That's your maiden, son, isn't it, in the Australian Championship?
Sure is, Mike, and it feels good.
That was a pretty busy race.
Yeah, well, I think it's even going to get busier. I mean, I think there's no danger. I'd like to be the guy that's got the franchise for doing the front spoilers and the headlights on these things. You'll make a fortune this year.
It was pretty tight. I saw Wayne Gardner have a bit of a lurch up on the outside of you at one stage, and he ran out of road.
Well, he had a go at me on the inside through the sweeper, and I moved over and let him through because that would have been a bit dicky for both of us. But then when he tried to go around the outside, I said, no way, pal. Not yet.
What about the Mark Scaife? Was he a little sideways in front of you, or did
he was a whole lot sideways in front of me, and I didn't want to come off the throttle like I did in the chase, because you lose all your revs, and in the chase he gathered it all up and got going, and in that one he didn't gather it up and he didn't get going.
So you're a happy man?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happier in about another couple of hours if I can do it again.
Well done.
Thanks, Mike.
Alan Jones, of course, coming up a winner here at Symmons Plains today. A lot of action here, but there's a lot of action around the world as we take a look at the motor wrap. Oh yes, beautiful Symmons Plains Raceway just outside Launceston. Round 2 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. This is race 2 of the series today, and the starting positions on the grid are determined by the finishing order of heat number 1 that we saw just a little earlier in our telecast. After the last heat, let me tell you, there was plenty of dialogue going on between Alan Jones and Mark Scaife. We can't play the audio to you, but I'll tell you, it was pretty cherry. And Mark really telling Alan about what he did, and you watch out, pal, and I tell you what, that's the way it went. Let's have a look how they line up. Heat number 2, 35, the Peter Jackson Falcon, Alan Jones. Starting alongside at 15, Thomas Mazzera and the Holden Racing Team Commodore, and from position 3 it's 30, Glenn Seaton, the second of the Peter Jackson Falcons. From 4, 17, Queensland's own Dickie Johnson and the Shell Falcon, and from 5, 05, Peter Brock, the Mobil 1 Commodore. Position number 6, car number 11, Larry Perkins, the Castrol Commodore. Hope he has a good run. From 7, 18, John Bower of Tasmania in the second Shell Falcon. From 8, 25, Tony Longhurst in the Benson and Hedges BMW. From 9, 7, Neil Crompton, the GIO Commodore. And rounding out the 10, 23, Paul Morris, the Diet Coke BMW M3. And starting off the back of the field will in fact be Mark Scaife and also certainly Wayne Gardner, who didn't finish the opening heat after being launched or launching or contributing or
after
whatever.
Having spun it.
Yep. So will it be AJ's day? Green at the ready, Gardner at the back, Jones and Mazzera at the front. Plenty of revving going on, and we get them off to a good start. Jones and Mazzera side by side, and Mazzera wins the start. And it is going to be pretty tight as they come up to the first corner. Make no mistake about that. Mazzera's got the jump. Moving up smartly here on the outside is Johnson. Can he stop? Yes, he can. And Glenn Seaton's up on the inside of Alan Jones. At the back of the field, there's Wayne Gardner trying to get through. They head down towards the sweeper for the first time, and it's Mazzera, the race leader. But the traffic, just have a look at it.
Here the V8's bouncing off the rev limiters as they come up through this 250 km/h sweeper. John Bower looking fairly competitive as he moves up to the top 6 in these opening laps. And Alan, as you alluded to before with the HRT Commodore, those things are punching out plenty of black smoke. There's plenty of horsepower coming out of these cars.
They've reset the program, I think, for sure, because Alan Jones got a great start, but Mazzera just powered by him and launched himself into first spot there into the first corner. Jones aggressive on his back bumper bar already, as is everybody else in the field.
And a fabulous start from Larry Perkins. He's moved up to 5th position in the old VL Commodore. That's where he belongs. He was very quick here earlier in the weekend. We saw a lot of speed from him before that unfortunate accident. There's the Castrol Commodore up to 5th place with all the late models. So it's Mazzera, Jones, his teammates, Seaton, Dick Johnson, Larry Perkins, John Bowe, Neil Crompton and Peter Brock. That's the leading order as they form this big chain along through the sweeper for the second time.
Well,
and already, I was going to say, Michael, there's smoke puffing from the back of one of the Shell cars. It may be Bowe.
Gardner's also making a big run through the pack. At the moment, the two Shell Falcons split by Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore.
Back bumper bar has been pushed forward. It doesn't look as dramatic as Dick Johnson had at Amaru 2 weeks ago. I think John might get by with this one. Just seems to be giving it a bit of a bellow of spoke there in certain positions, not the whole lap round.
And here comes the charge of the Winfield cars. You can just see on that wide shot behind Neil Crompton. Here they are. They're making up a lot of ground. Peter Brock in the middle of the Winfield sandwich. Mark Scaife, the second one of that pair. And Mark Scaife will really be on a charge. You saw the heated exchange with Jones just before we started this second race. Well, there's plenty of adrenaline pumping out there, let me tell you.
Yes, it wasn't showbiz stuff. It was for real. They moved down to the Brambles hairpin again. Mark Scaife. And hasn't Gardner made up a bit of ground as well? He sits in behind Scaife, and they're already attacking Peter Brock and the Mobile Commodore.
So to drag race out of the hairpin, the Winfield car would look to have the legs, the two Chevs. And there's bodywork flying everywhere. I would imagine that came off the back of John Bowes' car. And we go inside Peter Brock's Commodore VP with Mobile 1 race cam working back through the gears as he swings into this very tough left-hander. Mark Scaife has already disposed of him, as we saw on the back straight.
Sitting right behind Brocky, and we'll see whether he mounts an attack at this stage. It'll be Wayne Gardner in the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Now, Brocky started well, was inside the top 10 for this second race, but there's a few hot shots have got by him so far, and he's got another one sitting on his tail trying to make ground as well. Brocky checking out the mirror. And that's Wayne Gardner sits in behind the Mobile Commodore.
So
Tremendous. Sorry, Mark. Tremendous slipstreaming for a fast car in the middle of the field here, because he's virtually got all the wind in front of him being snow plowed away. And I would expect Gardner to move up quite dramatically a couple of more places.
And Alan Jones, no, it's Glenn Seaton in big trouble here with the Peter Jackson Falcon. He slowed dramatically. We saw a puff of smoke from the car. You have to guess what that was as the field streams past. You'll see Seaton, there he is off to the right-hand side as the field picks him up. That's a great disappointment for Seaton. He's really been the man on form this weekend at Symmons Plains.
Equal on points at the beginning of the day, Mark, and this will be a heck of a disappointment for him.
This is the midfield action that we're following. John Bowe, Larry Perkins, Neil Crompton, the GO Australia Commodore. Then you've got Mark Scaife, Peter Brock in there, and also Wayne Gardner. Now, Larry wants to get on with this, and you'll see the gap. There go the leaders.
Bit more timid into the hairpin today. That's where he locked it up yesterday with dire results for him and causing him to flip the car in qualifying and practice.
Bonnet's up on Glenn Seaton's Falcon.
He's got a motor problem there.
He's dejected. You can see him with the arm out the window. He's saying, I don't think I'm getting back into this race.
Meanwhile, Neil Crompton holding off the two Winfield cars. They're on a major charge. Larry Perkins ahead of them, so they've got plenty of adversaries to pick their way through in this second heat. Two Shell Falcons ahead of them once again. So
watch Gardner get onto the freight train here.
yeah.
There's the two Winfield Commodores, and then Wayne Gardner is picking them up as Crompton now carrying our GIO race cam has Jimmy Richards sitting in behind him. They come beneath the start-finishing line. That's how close they go to the guardrail there, up on the inside to the left-hander at Brambles hairpin.
These rear view pictures just show how dramatically drivers can get. Oh, look at that. Oh, almost. Oh, definitely
Bang.
touching. Can't call that almost touching.
Almost felt the impact. So Neil trying to hang on to the draft from Larry's Castrol Commodore, but meanwhile up the inside, the two Winfield Chevs. Chev engine Commodore sweep through. Neil's putting up a good fight here. He was saying between the heats how his tyres were going away and how he'd really struggled, but he's putting up a good fight against the two Winfield cars. Very impressive showing.
No, he's doing well here.
He's got Larry in front of him. Of course, Larry won't be giving anyone an easy run in this race.
There's only one way to get by Larry, and that's over the top of him.
Well, Wayne's still there.
Now Larry's got a bit of loose bodywork flapping on the back of the VL Commodore as well, so we're starting to see bits of bodywork flapping everywhere, as we saw at Amaroo Park, which is just a result of how close the racing is, particularly under brakes.
Here's Crompton in the GIO race cam shows you, heading up to the left-hander. The two Johnson Falcons are just ahead of Larry Perkins.
Yeah, Larry making it uncomfortable there for Neil, definitely. He had a nice run in there, and obviously a nicely balanced car under brakes. The Bob Forbes team worked very hard at giving Neil everything they're capable of.
And keep in mind too that both Larry's car and Neil's car are Holden V8 powered, as the Chev car. Oh, he's going to hold on to him. This is hard under brakes. He's got the line. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And here's Scaife trying to get under Richards at the same time.
There's a little bit of impact there as Richards tries to get back on the racing line through that tight left-hander.
These guys are not fooling around. This might look simple, and our cameras, of course, make it look as if there's absolutely nothing to it, but the judgment factors that are going through these fellas' brains is nothing short of Cape Canaveral logistics.
They head off. There goes Longhurst in the BMW as they come up for one more shot here at Perkins. Now Crompton's caught himself wide here, and Richards is up on the inside of him.
Oh, Larry's had a big lock up there. And
Neil, he was as polite as he could,
he got left high
Jim
and
was as
dry.
polite as he could. I think Neil allowed that door to be open just for a fraction of a second, and Jim said, "Thank you very much, Neil. I'll take it."
We'll keep an eye on Gardner here. Watch this. Crompton's keeping Scaife down the inside. Gardner straight down the outside. Knew that wouldn't happen.
Oh, look at Scaife's car screwing under brakes. Richards, oh, it's so tight. Crompton gets caught in the Winfield sandwich. His spoilers come loose. They're not afraid to lean on each other, these blokes.
Oh, his front spoiler is actually coming off. He's going to be in a worry here in a minute. That's a tough break for Neil. He's going to...
Well, I'll tell you, Larry Perkins will be quite heartened by the performance of the old Holden V8 as opposed to the Chevs. Giving away horsepower, they tell me, at the Dyno boys. But in straight line speed, there's nothing in this, and he's opening 3 or 4 laps through the back straight.
I've never really met a dyno man that has told the truth.
True.
I wouldn't go too much on all of that. We're going to hear fantastic stories for the rest of the year about who's got what and who hasn't got what. But
So Larry's had a look down the outside here as Jimmy Richards gets by. Watch Larry's speed though, and Mark Scaife trying to make 3 wide.
That's fantastic.
Scaife
high
just
speed.
wants to get towards the front.
high-speed waltzing, and they're taking a few chances in that position of the track. Slight touch could be quite critical.
Well, the Castrol Commodore's certainly been deep fried and battered this weekend. Still got the bodywork hanging off it no matter what he does.
Scaife out on the marbles, and Jim trying to monster Larry Perkins. Well, he can keep monstering because Larry is not going to move off the line. Larry's going as quick as he can, and you've seen the horsepower of this car. Watch Larry hang it in here against the guardrail. You're not going to catch him one out and one back. Jim will have to make a big run down the outside, and Larry says...
He's definitely holding line. Larry's doing absolutely nothing unsporting here. He's doing exactly what a good driver should do.
What a great exit. He hooked the wheel in really tight there and got a very conservative line out of the hairpin, so there was no real estate on the inside. Now Richards can either tap into the draft and try and get under brakes. I don't think he's going to match him for outright speed.
No, Larry's really having fun here.
Oh, Castro came to his support at the beginning of this season. And, he's done nothing but support them.
And
great run.
Jim's offering Larry a bit of support through the turns as well.
You couldn't go deeper under brakes than that.
Jimmy is really a class act as a race car driver. He will race door handle to door handle or nose to tail with you, but seldom do you see Jimmy Richards banging away at the tail of anyone. And this is pretty heady stuff. Keep in mind there are no team orders. Jim wants to finish as close as he can to the leaders, and Mark Scaife is trying to do exactly that, and he's caught in behind Richards at this stage. Crompton is the next one back, followed by Wayne Gardner.
So it's still Thomas Mazzini.
Oh, no, for a moment I thought he was going to cop the...
I thought we'd seen the carbon copy there.
Oh, I thought we got the Jones sachet all in one hit. Now Crompton starts to move up just a touch. Wayne Gardner was much closer a lap or so back. He moves up on Crompton's tail now.
Keep in mind there's 4 cars ahead of this incredible battle. Still Thomas Mazzera leading the... Oh, and Larry's gone offline.
Yeah, start of the lockup, and with a lockup like that, he'll go wide.
He squeezed Gardner.
Steers off the track, and that's all that Jim needed. Just a momentary lapse there, and it can't do that. If your brakes lock up, you lose control.
That's done Wayne Gardner no favours. Brock moves up on the tail of his car in the Mobil 1 VP Commodore.
You can't ignore the performances of the 1,050 kilo BMWs there, hanging onto the back of the V8s on what is a power circuit. So the gap from first to second, Thomas Mazzera to Alan Jones, is 1.38 seconds, and the gap from second to third, 5.6 seconds, the 2 Shell Falcons. So,
and Gardner says, hang on, how can this happen? They just took 50 kilos off this thing here on the inside of me. I'd say Wayne's got a problem.
yeah,
He's slowing.
Slowing dramatically. So he falls to the back of that pack. 2 BMWs sweep through. Tony Longhurst on the charge. Keep in mind.
The other guys' tires now are starting to get quite soggy. Not that they're actually wearing out, but they just go a bit on the marshmallow side, and the drivers are having to use all their finesse they can to preserve what becomes the last laps of the day.
Paul Morris also doing a good job in the Diet Coke BMW. He's only one back behind Tony as they swing out of the Brambles hairpin. Good race going here. Let's check it out on the Shell race score. Thomas Mazzera is the race leader. Second spot, AJ. Can he do it again? Is it AJ's day at Symmons Plains? Dick Johnson runs in third. John Bower is fourth. And Larry Perkins runs in fifth spot. And we'll be back at the Plains in just a moment. Back here at Symmons Plains, Wayne Gardner has returned to the pits, has a problem with the motor by the sound of it. And Thomas Mazira's engine sounded a little off that time when they went by. Dick Johnson in 17 and teammate John Bower.
You may be right about Thomas's engine problems, Mike, because Alan Jones has made up an enormous amount of ground on him.
Yeah, but sounded off last time he went past our commentary box here.
Well, they might have 8 cylinders, but they need every one of them.
Yep.
Just seeing the top of the shot there as we were following the shell cars.
You'll see it on the
that Jones has
sweeper.
made up. Yep, there he is.
So AJ starting to hone in on Thomas Mazira. It's not going to be an easy task. Let me tell you, that gap has been there all along. But just the motor sounded just a touch off last time they came past. So Alan Jones, car number 35, the Peter Jackson Falcon EV, claiming race leader Thomas Mazira for the Holden Racing Team.
We got 13 laps to go, Mike. He's still got plenty of time. He just needs to shadow him. And certainly, if Mazira's got a problem, Jones has already got the feel of it.
Have a listen as they come past our com box. Well, it sounded fairly sweet there. Very difficult with the V8s too when they hit the 7,500 RPM rev limit. There's a whole lot of them running past in a pack. It's very hard to pick the
two of them together there, 1,000
yeah.
horsepower going by in one hit. It is hard to detect, but certainly to his credit, Alan Jones is closer for whatever reason, and just shadowing Mazira like...
Well, here they're coming up on Peter Dillman and Johnny Smith again. They're running in the 2-litre class. Dillman in the Impala Kitchens. BMW 2-litre. That's the pink machine going through. He stays out of the race for the leaders and protects his 2-litre lead. Once again to Coca-Cola corner. I tell you, Mazira is doing a good job. It has in the opening 2 rounds of this championship. Very underrated driver.
Yes, he was unlucky at Emerald, Mike, when he went wide on that opening lap and lost about 5 places and ultimately didn't do too well, but certainly showing potential and a great credit to the team, a great addition to the team.
Well, Wally Stories was saying before, he's such an enthusiastic test driver, and they'll get out there and they can just cane him along all day and he'll just keep sitting in the car and putting in the miles.
Back in the pack. Here's Tony Longhurst, the Benson & Hedges BMW M3. Tried to split this
How many cylinders do these cars have again, Mike? I get confused with arithmetic. I'm not sure. They seem to be going quite well here.
Well, the second race is always going to bring them back into contention. There's no two ways about that as the tyres go off. Neil Crompton, of course, carrying one of our race cams, and our second one is mounted on the front of Tony Longhurst BMW. And here's Tony. Watch the gains that he makes. They get away from him in sheer horsepower, but once it gets down to a bit of braking and the left-hander, he makes a lot of that up as Brocky...
if he gets too close to that exhaust pipe, he'll get a Bunsen burner on his front bumper bar.
You come down towards the pit turn. That's a little rise to the right, then back to the left here now as Tony closes it up.
It's one of the greatest shots of motor racing you'll ever see. You can just see how hard the suspension and the tyres are working, the coarseness of the road surface.
And this is back from Peter Brock's race cam. That's Longhurst behind him. Let's go back to Longhurst. That's what the view looks from the other side.
Oh,
yeah.
As he
closed
zeroes
dramatically.
in.
Oh, there's a bit of...
something flew.
a few more broken parts falling off Larry's Commodore.
Well, Longhurst is up there on the inside, and he's trying to get behind Brock and squash Larry out. And look at Paul Morris coming on now in the Diet Coke BMW. They're coming up on John Smith, this group. Whoosh.
Larry threads the needle. Boy, oh boy.
There's Tony now with the outside run. He'll bring her in tight, flow through that left-hander.
Paul Morris will get maybe to the inside as they exit this turn. So Paul's pretty close there in the Diet Coke BMW.
I think if he can step on Larry's shoestring there hanging out the back of that Castrol car, that he might pull it up and leapfrog through the field.
So the BMW is starting to do what they've done for the last 2 or 3 seasons. The consistency of these cars in race trim, particularly when the bigger, heavier cars are starting to rely on their tyres and things are starting to head south.
There's Alan Jones again, still trailing Thomas Mazira. Oh, and down on the inside, moment of truth, was it? Gee, that was a very late braking from Jonesy.
It's a difficult place to make that move. If you're going to try and pull something like that, we'd rather be trying it at the hairpin where we come down to a slower pace. But I think he might have just been trying to unnerve Thomas there. Let him know that he's definitely got plans for that #1 position.
Well, they've got 8 laps to go this time. Sound of the Falcon and, of course, the Commodore V8 heading down to the Brambles shipping hairpin turn.
Well, you couldn't get Holden versus Ford in its more purest form. They've left the rest of the field behind. Commodore versus Falcon. And these cars are so evenly matched, it's going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, I think it'll go down to who's got the brake pedal at the end of the on the last lap mark. You can't tell from here. Naturally, only the drivers know how hard they're pressing those pedals. But I thought earlier in the day the Peter Jackson cars were performing extremely well under brake. So it's going to take every ounce of stopping power that Mazzara can command to keep Alan Jones at bay.
We made reference earlier in the day the fact the HRT car runs a twin caliper setup, but that was something introduced for Bathurst more for durability rather than braking power. And you can see that the Falcon can certainly match or exceed the Commodore's braking power, but whether the brakes can last is another question.
Certainly the braking durability at the moment in the power stakes, Mazzara is doing a great job, and the car sounds as crisp as anything as he just booms past the start-finishing line.
It's really good pressure driving for Thomas. I know a lot of the criticism levelled at him last year was that, yeah, sure, he tests and he's done a few Bathursts, but like in pressure situations, perhaps he didn't have it. But this is about as high pressure as you can get.
Not every day you have an ex-world champion on your back bumper bar, is it?
And here's the battle behind as we pick up on John Bowe, Dick Johnson.
So Bowe's displaced his team leader.
Jimmy Richards is next, then followed Mark Scaife. They're starting to get away from Neil Crompton in the GIO Australia Commodore. And Scaife, to his credit, has done a good job here from almost the back of the field.
Well, still cognizant that it's a 9-race championship, Mike, and every point counts. He wouldn't have been very impressed with that DNF in the first heat. He'll pick up a few points here now this afternoon and keep his chances alive.
And the goss is that Alan Jones will probably cop a fine as a result of that, but it's unlikely that it would go anything more than that. And I think it's more for probably the Mark Scaife incident rather than the Wayne Gardner incident. So Jonesy is trying to stay in the draft of Thomas Mazzara. That's easier said than done.
Yeah, that's the beginning.
On the inside, Alan Jones putting in the big ones. It's time to challenge for the lead in round 2 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Thomas Mazzara. Jones so close. Past the pit turn.
5 laps to go.
And the pressure is mounting on Thomas. And the man mounting the pressure would be very comfortable at this stage. They're coming up to the Bramble shipping hairpin turn. And here comes Jones. Moment of truth for Thomas Mazzara. Jones through.
Oh, he gets it sideways,
careful.
but he's got
A calculated risk. He pulled it off.
You can see the rears were locking up as well.
Yeah, that was brave, but he let the rear brakes lock up, help him steer him around the corner. Mazzara gave him plenty of room, to his credit.
It was a nice bit of car control, but I can guarantee you Thomas Mazzara is not going to give up on this one without a fight.
Maybe Thomas has got the same problem.
Yeah.
They're almost out of rubber.
Yeah, the moment you see those brakes locking up, you know that the driver's destiny is almost beyond his control.
They sweep down to the pit turn again. It's been the best day for Alan Jones since he stepped into a touring car after retiring from Formula One racing. He's waited a long time to hook up with the right team that would give him the equal #1 car, and that's exactly what he has today at Symmons Plains.
He's opened a nice margin here. I don't think we can say Thomas is in a challenging position here. Certainly a good position, but not a threat. Jones just, again, giving it a little flick. I think he likes that technique, Mark. He must think he's in a Formula One car where he used to throw it around with gay abandon.
53 is Peter Doolman, the leader of the 2-litre class here today, the Impala Kitchens machine. It's good to see Peter, who had an outstanding run at Amaru Park, won the 2-litre heat, finished strongly in the integrated 2 and 5-litre 26 lapper.
I certainly know that Peter's sponsors, Impala Kitchens and Clark Sinks and other suppliers for that part of the industry are very enthusiastic about motorsport, and they're looking forward to increased success from Peter as the championship wears on. He's certainly doing a great job in the 2-litre championship as it is.
We have 3 laps to go.
Yes, very nicely presented. Like the products he's endorsing.
The gap from our race leader Alan Jones to Thomas Mazzera is widening. There is Jones on the inside taking Peter Dillman, and dropping way back now is Mazzera in car number 15 for the Holden Racing Team. They've just put a lap on Bob Jones in the Ampol Max 3 entry, the Commodore, all black Commodore.
Jones.
One of the privateers running the series this year.
He's really left Mazzera behind there. You can see that much larger gap. Here comes the first of the shell cars, John Bowe.
If he drops off much more, he'll have John to contend with.
Dick Johnson, Jim Richards and Mark Scaife. That's the top 6.
Nice run here from the 2 shell cars. They weren't happy in qualifying, felt they had been outgunned, but they persevered all weekend, and I think done a very good job under trying conditions.
Very skatey now on the tyres as they come through the pit turn.
Plenty of rubber going down the tyres on their last legs. Cars reduced braking performance, reduced cornering performance, reduced acceleration. They do start to become quite slippery at the stage of a race, Alan, don't they?
Yes, and increased driver performance, your heartbeat going up, trying to cope with the problems of the car.
They exit the Brambles turn again with Dick Johnson. He's got Jimmy Richards getting a little bit closer as well.
Looking good.
And we'll be chasing a little more horsepower for the next round of the championship, round number 3. That, of course, will be the first Sunday in April at Phillip Island. And won't these V8s be just sensational to see at the island? Wayne Gardner might even have an unfair advantage,
Yes.
seeing he's won 2 500 Grand Prix there.
Alan Jones has just set out on his last lap, so we follow 4th, 5th and 6th through.
Been a fabulous effort this. They swing through past the start-finishing line, heading up to Brambles Shipping hairpin. Now, thanks, of course, again to Brambles for their assistance in bringing the 7 Sport team and our trucks here to Symmons Plains this weekend. They're on their final lap. Things are a bit second-hand in the tyre department for Dickie Johnson. Certainly not for this man, AJ. Car number 35. Heads up to Coca-Cola turn for the final time.
Well, a very nicely paced race throughout the day, bearing in mind they had to judge their tires to do this, Mike. It's not a lay-down Mazzera. There's Glenn Seaton looking at his teammate, a very happy boy as well, genuinely enthused about Alan's run.
Well, if he can't win today, this man should. Last turn, Glenn Seaton's happy. So are all the Ford fans, because it's checkered flag time for our ex-Formula 1 champion, Alan Jones. He gets across the line. Here's Thomas Mazzera in for second. Dickie Johnson will take third on the run to the flag. Who will get fourth? It's John Bowe, and fifth will be Jimmy Richards. Sixth, Mark Scaife. Let's recap those for you on the Shell race score. Alan Jones, the winner, both heats here today at Symmons Plains. Thomas Mazzera in second spot, John Bowe in third, Dick Johnson in fourth, and Jim Richards showing as fifth place. Back at Symmons Plains in just a moment. Welcome back to Symmons Plains, and we've got a very vocal crowd out here. They're very happy about who's won today. Our former World Formula 1 champion, Alan Jones, takes top points today. But third across the line makes a Tasmanian happy too, Dick Johnson in a Ford. Great drive, down a bit on power. You can rectify that before we go down to Phillip Island.
One can only hope, Michael, but I can tell you that it was a fairly greasy old ride out there. The tyres were getting very second-hand towards the end, and I had Jimmy and Scaife on my neck. I had to let Bowie go through because he nudged me a couple of times. How's that for a Tasmanian team, mate? But all in all, it's been damn good racing, and I'm glad to see such a huge crowd here.
Terrific. Look forward to seeing you at Phillip Island. Second, of course, today drove splendidly for the Holden Racing Team, Thomas Mazzera. Well done, Thomas.
Thanks.
You get better and better with each outing. You've got a regular ride, and it's all coming together for you. You must be happy.
I'm very happy, and when I saw in the morning what sort of a mood AJ was, then I thought the only way to beat him was to take off from the line and drive as hard as possible, which I did, but unfortunately the tyres didn't last long enough and I had a few problems, but managed to get second. Huh?
Good boy. Thomas Mazira. Congratulate him. Our 2-litre winner for today is, of course, Peter Dillman. Quickly, Peter. Congratulations. Plenty of traffic out all around you, but at least you got points.
Yeah, it's hard work out there, but we got through.
Good boy. And the winner today, overall 2 heat wins, Mr. Alan Jones. It's AJ's day. It's been a while.
Yeah, a long time between drinks, that's for sure.
Well, you've done well. 2 heats. Can the car go faster? Will you be more competitive by the time you go to the island?
Yeah, I think we've got some more development to do to it, and I think we'll slowly progress as the year goes by. And I take this opportunity of thanking Glenn and Bo Seaton and all the boys at Peter Jackson for giving me a fantastic car. I mean, it's been a long time.
Good on you. Tom Smith from the Shell Company, handing a garland. It's been a long time coming for Alan Jones.
Whoops.
Alan Moffat.
Points are up.
The Shell Series scoreboard after today's racing here at Symmons Plains. Alan Jones, top point scorer of 38 over John Bow on 37. Surprising effort and a great effort from JB for Shell. Mark Scaife for the Winfield team finished in 3rd, and Thomas Mazira in the way of points finishes in 4th. Alan Moffat, a great race.
Well, it was, Mike, and Phillip Island, where the speeds are so high, I just can't wait to see those V8s in action down there. The only thing that's going to stop them will be the Pacific Ocean.
I'm very concerned. Wayne Gardner with the door open and 2 legs out down there. It's going to be sensational. We look forward to your company at Phillip Island, the next round of the Shell Touring Car Nationals.